Hello everyone, I just want to take a little bit of time to talk about a recent experience I had with the XE4, comparing it with the X100v. When I buy a camera, usually I'm doing it for a specific purpose. I want to get something specific out of it. So my X-T4 is my main workhorse. So when people hire me to shoot something, when I do a wedding or portrait session, something like that, that's usually the camera I bring with me. It has the battery life and it's a little bit bigger, a little bit more rugged. I use that for my paid jobs and to film these videos. And my X Pro 3 is kind of my backup. The reason I haven't sold my X Pro 3, I love the X Pro 3. It's a lot of fun. It's beautiful. But I haven't sold it because I need a bulkier, heavier, nicer backup for my paid work. So I usually bring the X Pro 3 in my bag with me. And then the X Pro 3 is kind of fun to shoot with. So I will take that out every once in a while to do fun shoots because it's, oh my gosh, it looks so beautiful, right? It's fun to use. I use the optical viewfinder. And the X100v is my fun camera. So it's the camera I take with me pretty much everywhere. I love to get artistic landscapes and nature shots with that. So I go on bike rides with it. I take it all over the place with me. And the fun part about that is it's way, way better than the quality you get out of a cell phone. And I could actually use it in my print shop. I can print these up big and it still works beautifully. So recently, I was actually toying with the idea of replacing my X100V, and this was recent as like 6 months ago. Replacing my X100V with the XE4 and the 27mm. So that would be my go-to. That would be my take with me everywhere camera. So the XE4 and the 27mm, as you can see, is a pretty small profile camera. You compare it with the X100V, and similar aesthetic, beautiful cameras. Not too much of a size difference. And I thought maybe would that replace it? So I took the plunge. I found a decent deal on an XE4 and a 27mm. And I went out to take photos with it on a 2-day kind of adventure, going to a couple different places to see if I could shoot the same stuff in the same way as I shot with the X100. So slightly different focal length. So we have a 40 millimeters with the XE4 and the 27 millimeters, and we have a 35 millimeter or so on the X100V. So slightly different, enough to make a difference, right? A comparable difference. I was worried about the f2.8 on the XE4 with the 27 millimeter compared to the 2.0 on the X100V. I really love to create some background separation, and the lens on the X100V is perfect to be able to do that. And so I was curious to see whether the XE4 with the 27mm, even though it's f2.8, how much background separation I'd get, because I guess I've forgotten. I used to shoot with 2.8 lenses all the time, and I wasn't sure how to do that, like how much of a separation I get. Also, I wanted to check out whether the 27mm would focus as close as the X100V, and the answer is it will not. And I still, though, wanted to see what it was like, and I thought maybe I would sell my X100V to pay for the XE4 because it could change out lenses. And I'm going to show you a quick slideshow of my time with the XE4 shooting as if it was the X100V. So I took it out, driving back roads, visiting. I visited a cemetery, some back roads, dirt roads, kind of adventure type stuff, and shot it in a similar manner to see if I could get the same look and feel as I did out of my X100V, to see if it could replace my functionality in my bag, right? The reason I have the X100V is see if the XE4 could replace it, and just so happened every once in a while to change out lenses. So I'm going to show you a slideshow of the photos I took, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you about what I chose and some of the things I saw when I was out in the field. right, so pretty cool photos, right? I was really able to achieve a very unique, fun, interesting feel along my style that I really appreciated. I loved the photos that came from the XE4, basically just as much as I love the X100v. That shouldn't be really too much of a surprise because they use the same sensor, right? The difference was the lens focal length and then the 2.8 versus the 2.0. The X100v would allow slightly more light in, a little bit less, a little bit, more exaggerated depth of field difference between the background and your subject. But I ended up just loving the photos, and I really thought that maybe I could switch those out, but I ended up not doing so. So I kept the 100V, and I did not sell it because of a couple things. Number one is the focus mode dial that's on the front of most cameras or on the X100V. It's just on the side here. You can go to M, manual, continuous, or single shot. I use that all the time. And the fact that the Fujifilm XE4 does not have that on the front or on the side really bothered me. I know you could program a button in there, and I did that. But it'll relate to a point I'm going to make here in a minute. I just missed the ability to switch that on the fly. Number two is I missed the neutral density filter that's in the X100V. I end up using that quite often. I really shoot wide open most of the time, and so sometimes I'm out on those country roads and I need to cut some light down, and I don't always take a neutral density filter with me. You guys know I'm low profile, so I just take the camera. I can't take a camera. Sometimes I don't bring a bag or anything, and I just go take photos. And I know it takes like 1 extra second to put the ND filter on, but I just don't really enjoy that very much. So I missed that. And I also, relating to the first point, was I wish there was probably 2 or 3 more buttons that I could customize on the XE4. I missed the ability to customize certain things. Like I'd like to be able to do my Fuji JPEG simulations and my focus mode dial, and even, there's a couple other options I use on my other cameras. And it just doesn't have enough of that functionality. I also don't like using the touchscreen, swiping up and down. I tried it for a long time. I just can't get used to that. So I did like using the XE4 quite a bit, but I did miss too much out of the X100V, right? I enjoy using the X100V, and I missed some of the features that it has. And that's not even talking about the X100V has weather sealing and, that really beautiful leaf shutter, and it's got a, stronger body. There's some things to love about the X100V in comparison. But for you, if those things matter, then, the X100V is still there for you, right? It's a great camera. It can do all those things. The XE4 is awesome as well. That sensor is amazing, and you can get a lot out of it. You can switch lenses, of course, but some of the big lenses are kind of ridiculous to use with this. I'm lucky I was able to keep kind of the XE4. My wife sold all of her Sony gear finally, and she is now shooting Fuji with me, and this is her main camera. It's perfect for her. She switches out her lenses and loves it. So I got the best of both worlds because then I could borrow hers whenever I want to, as long as she's not shooting something with me. And I get to keep it, so that's kind of cool. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have questions. I would love to answer them down below. I'm here to help you out. I really love teaching photography, helping people learn photography, helping people to love photography. And I know gear is part of that. So gear really is fun for me. And I hope you found my thoughts about these 2 cameras useful.